So I'm Mikhail. I am a filmmaker, musician, and I also run Pomegranate Studios Limited. We created the show The Lightbox as a flagship show, but we also create ads, music videos. I do original scores, do graphic design, animation, truly every part of the digital media process. So I started playing music when I was 4 years old. And throughout high school and primary school, my main goal was to become a musician. I was a gigging musician for all of my teenage years, and I bumped into the regular swerves in the road that I think every young musician does, especially when it comes to monetizing yourself as a musician. I think as an underground instrumentalist in Trinidad, the primary source of payment for maybe the first 15 years of you performing is T-plates. I think over time you become very, very accustomed to being paid in a T-plate and a handshake and a walk-off. And I think coming from that background, you kind of understand how difficult it is to take that next step in an industry where there are many gatekeepers and there are very few ways to get to the level where you're actually getting paid money without having to deal with one of those gatekeepers. So the Lightbox was created as a space for original Caribbean art and music in a space that would be in a format that is professional, poppy, and authentically captures the energy and vibe that you want from one of these things without the socioeconomic barrier generally associated with a music video or a live performance video that's captured well, and you could see on a cinema, you could see on a TV screen, you could see on your laptop screen, on your phone, and it all feels big and gives the performer, I think, the credence that they deserve for what they bring into the table. I would say a certain amount of the struggle that you are subjected to in the beginning is inevitable. I think there's a certain amount of doubt that will always exist both internally and externally that the thing that you are doing is viable as a career. And I think that you will always encounter, no matter what in any society, you will encounter people who will either not help you get to that next level or actively put you in a position where you can't advance professionally. For us, the solution, for me at least, the solution has always been to create a new route. The internet is one of the biggest tools for people in our age group. I think we are lucky enough to be coming from a generation that is native to that, and that has allowed us the ability to create without the boundaries that are set for us by cultural gatekeepers of various kinds. And there's a certain amount of just keeping at it and finding a good team of supportive people around you who are going to be able to fill in the gaps where society is not going to help you. For example, I create music. I am a filmmaker. I am not an artist. I'm not a visual artist. I can't draw. I can't paint. I don't have a steady enough hand. And if I had not had the people around me to help me with those areas, then I would have been left out in the cold, because the truth of the industry is a lot of people are fighting for their own place, and not everybody has time to stop and help somebody else. So in summary, I suppose, as unforgiving and as bumpy as that road is, if you keep at it and you have the right people around you, there's less stopping us now from getting to that next phase, because they can't regulate what we put online. You now have the ability to create your own audience without anybody else. And I think we're in a new golden era of entering the creative space. I think in a lot of ways, we have benefited more. We have benefited from having a good network of people around us to kind of help us out with our legal stuff. But at the same time, we are entering a space and a culture that is not very legally forward. There are legal protections in place. There are public legal protections in place that exist. But we are coming in from a space where sometimes people will see a contract and get very nervous. As a young musician, I have been in many studios, especially when I was in my early teens, where I'm playing stuff with no contract and I'm not getting paid, and I leave a studio and maybe some of my work is in a song somewhere. And I have no knowledge. I don't know if that is normal. I don't know if if I was supposed to see a contract of some kind. I don't even understand what the workflow would be in terms of monetizing what I just did. And I think what we've encountered more as filmmakers facilitating an audio medium is presenting that legal framework and those legal protections to people who don't generally have them. And it's been a mixed bag. We find people the first time they've ever been through a legal contract is when they come to the Lightbox. And for them, it's an important step. When they see a contract for the first time, maybe they learn what a good contract looks like for somebody in their position. And sometimes, as has happened on a few instances with us, we present somebody with a contract who has not seen a contract in their industry and refuses to sign it without even reading it, with some sort of impression that if there is a contract, it is there to deceive me, as opposed to there to protect me. Which I feel has a lot to do with a societal misunderstanding of the legal profession and IP, more than it does, the actual practical implementation of IP in Trinidad and Tobago. I would say, truly everything is IP. The chair that I'm sitting on was designed by somebody. This banner was designed by somebody. The camera that we are shooting on, past its technological parts and bits, the model and the structure of it is somebody's intellectual property. I think intellectual property is something that we are never getting away from, just walking around in the world. I think as a result, it's important for us to understand it. But even more than us understanding it as creatives, I think as a broader society, everybody needs to understand that they are always interacting with intellectual property, not just passively, but as we enter a new digital media age. Every business's promotion, whereas in the past may have been handled by a newspaper or a big traditional firm, everything has become more micro. So they are now in charge of most businesses. You would find both medium, small, large businesses are in charge of creating their own intellectual property as a means of promoting their work. And even if they're not creating their own intellectual property, they are liaising with people who create intellectual property and creative works. We're entering a period now where intellectual property has become inescapable for the average business owner or just the average person walking out on the street. So, and I feel in some ways that now that it is inescapable, we will hopefully have some more education surrounding it. But who's to say?